Neymar's last dance, a hero's redemption. When his name dropped for the Brazil squad recently, man, an absolute roar went up. But here's the truly fascinating part. It wasn't just Brazil celebrating. It was the entire world. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why this announcement triggered such a massive, unified global reaction. Because to really get it, we have to look way past the flashing cameras and the jerseys. We have to look at the man himself. What we're actually watching is a classic, almost Shakespearean tragic hero's journey, filled with immense emotional struggle and just unbelievable resilience.
So why is the whole world celebrating one player's return? The answer honestly has nothing to do with just adding another talented forward to a roster. This isn't just about a potential final World Cup appearance. No, the world is reacting to a profoundly tragic career arc. People aren't just cheering for a footballer anymore. They are cheering for a man who has been repeatedly knocked down by fate, yet absolutely refuses to stay on the ground. We're all cheering for the possibility of redemption.
Chapter 1. A History of Heartbreak. To really appreciate where Neymar is right now, we have to step back into the shadows of his past. A past where it seemed like destiny itself was actively working against him. Think back to 2014. The ultimate dream, a World Cup on home soil, shattered by a literal fractured vertebra in his back. Fast forward to 2018, and instead of glory, his mental fortitude was tested by relentless public mockery and those infamous diving memes. Then, 2022. He does the impossible. He scores a brilliant 105th-minute extra-time goal, only to suffer a sudden, heartbreaking elimination moments later at the hands of Croatia. It is just a devastating sequence of events.
Every single time his moment arrived, tragedy struck. The heavy emotional weight of this past really cannot be overstated. Just when the universe seemed perfectly aligned for his coronation, the rug was violently pulled out from under him. It's the very definition of a tragic hero, getting so incredibly close to the summit, only to be pushed right back down to the base of the mountain.
Chapter 2. The Desperation and Hunger. Looking at the present day, there is a distinct, totally undeniable change in Neymar's demeanor. Gone is the easygoing superstar. In his place, a player with a raw, palpable hunger. These tragic setbacks haven't broken him. They've ignited something fierce. We recently heard him ask, "Hey Ancelotti, what about me?" On the surface, sure, it sounds like classic playful Neymar banter with a legendary manager. But the context tells a much deeper story.
Because right behind that outward smile and humor, there was a deeply internalized fear. Observers noted genuine terror in his eyes. It was the raw panic of a man absolutely terrified that his story might end without that final chapter of redemption. He wasn't just making a joke. He was desperately seeking validation that his ultimate goal was still within reach.
And you know, this internal fear has completely spilled over into very real physical actions on the pitch. That deep fear of missing out is manifesting right in front of us. When he fights fiercely with the referee, that isn't just your standard frustration over a bad call. That is intensely visible passion. That is the reaction of a man fighting for his legacy, demonstrating clearly, and a bit desperately, just how much this comeback still matters to his very soul.
Chapter 3. Pain Behind the Comeback.
The journey back from the brink is rarely glamorous, is it? When his name was finally called for the squad, validating all of that immense struggle, Neymar didn't go straight to the flashing cameras. No, he sought out his physiotherapist and simply held him in a long embrace. It was this incredibly quiet, vulnerable moment that revealed the grueling, unseen agony behind his return. Because honestly, perhaps only that physiotherapist truly knew the absolute hell Neymar had to walk through to get his body and his mind back to this exact point.
Chapter 4. The Final Hope.
Everything we've covered, the 2014 fractured back, the 2018 criticism, the 2022 extra-time heartbreak, all of that agonizing physical therapy, it all funnels into one singular focal point, the 2026 World Cup. If Neymar manages to marshal his spirit and his body to play in 2026, it becomes so much more than just a tournament. It's one final, agonizing battle. Because of his immense past tragedies, fans across the globe, totally regardless of their national allegiances, are uniting behind one specific emotional desire. They want to see the hero finally conquer his demons and succeed. It's an arc that literally transcends the sport itself.
So, we're left with this. Will football finally be fair to Neymar in 2026? After a career defined as much by devastating tragedy as by dazzling brilliance, the entire world is watching, hoping that this time, the story ends differently. It's a question that leaves us all deeply emotionally invested in whatever happens next. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on this